Well, hello, Faith Church. And the final devotion for this week, we're finishing off Numbers chapter 15, and we're going to start at verse 30. Yesterday, we talked about sacrifices, and it went through a whole bunch of different rules about the sacrifices and ended with the sin offerings and the unintentional ones. And so today, we'll see kind of the contrast of that. And so starting at verse 30, it says, "But the person who does anything with a high hand," come back to that, "whether he is native or a sojourner, reviles the Lord, and that person shall be cut off from among his people, because he has despised the word of the Lord and has broken his commandment. That person shall be utterly cut off, his iniquity shall be on him." Some pretty strong words there. But that phrase, "with a high hand," it's the picture of shaking your fist at God. And so it's right after that part on sinning unintentionally. And right after all that section about the sacrifices and the offerings, which remember, those are all about shaping our hearts. And it was about how to shape the Israelites' hearts towards God. And so now we see the opposite of that. It ends with this verse here talking about, what about those who just refuse, who just don't want to be shaped, have their heart shaped by God, and so they're shaking their fist at the sky. They know what's right, they know what's wrong, and they're choosing to do what's wrong, and they don't refuse to change, and the change from that. And then there's this little story. At first, if you just read the little section, your Bible might even section it out with a different heading. Starting at verse 32, you think, really, that's pretty severe. But remember where it comes in context here. It's an example of what we're seeing here, and it's somebody who the really simple rule that God had given about Sabbath day, and someone who just doesn't care about God's rules, his commands, his word, and goes and breaks those Sabbath rules. And it was kind of the first time where they had to deal with this, and they went to Moses and they said, look at this person, they're breaking the rules, don't care, aren't going to have no desire to change, and what do we do? And Moses goes and consults God, and God says, take him outside the camp and stone him. The people had to do that. And so just again, this picture of sin and how devastating it can be, how it can just hurt the community so much when we refuse to deal with our sin and have no desire to. And so just really simply today, for application, is, where's your heart? Something that I've used to kind of just examine myself over the years, just really simply to ask myself, am I moving towards God with whatever I'm dealing with today, or away from him? Am I taking this to God, or am I trying to do it myself? That kind of a picture. And it works for both. When things are going really well, it's good to ask yourself that. Are you still moving towards God, or are things going so great that you kind of just don't really need him, and you're just doing everything yourself and enjoying whatever life has, and in good times? And so it's a good reminder in those times to still be pursuing and moving towards God and asking him, Lord, why have you blessed me like this? What do you want me to do with this? What are you calling me to do with where you have me right now? And then, of course, when we're going through difficult times, challenges in life, maybe it's relational or something, we can ask ourselves, with this situation, is my attitude, is my actions, are they moving towards God? Am I taking it to him? Am I willing to say, Lord, here's how I honestly feel. Here's what here's what my feelings are. And I'm going to take these to you, and what should I do with them? Because he might tell you have to change them, forgive when it's hard, give something up. There's all kinds of things God could ask, but that comes, you have to go to him with those. Or are you turning your back and trying not to listen or to hear, or to ask what God would have you do? So are you moving towards him with your heart today, or away from him? And just remember, He's like the father of the prodigal son. He is always there waiting, arms open wide, wanting you to come back to him. And then the chapter there ends with just a simple little thing that God gave the Israelites, these tassels with a certain color on them to put on the corners of their garments, that they'd see them throughout the day, and it would remind them of his commandments. And so I encourage you, maybe that's something that you can do. I know a lot of you put verses up somewhere. I have kind of a writing mat at work, and I the cover over it, and so I put a couple verses under there. Just little things we can do to remind ourselves of God, keep our minds focused on him. So with that, may God bless you and keep you, and may his face shine upon you. And this weekend, would you know his peace? See you on Sunday. God bless.